Townsend.
It says Zeze is a saint. How she deals with shouty McFast talk every week, I'll never know. Always interrupting. Then the person said, ha ha. Then another person said, the check, ha 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 ha. His show, his rules. It's not his show, it's our show. Just so you know, because without me, it wouldn't happen, vice versa.
Right, to address that comment. And a couple of the comments that I see, whether it's me cutting you off or you cutting me off or whatever the case.
It's mostly you cutting me off.
Okay. To address those comments.
Thank you. I'm glad that you take full acceptance.
To address those comments. I always don't understand that people don't understand that this is two people having an honest, uncensored, other than the swearing, uncontrolled conversation. And yes, when you're having a conversation and you're passionate about topics, even though the professional thing is to wait for the other person to talk, sometimes when you're listening to somebody and their Neanderthalic thoughts, you want to stop them so that none of the Neanderthalness goes out any further, and you want to chip in. Sometimes you're chipping in with nonsense, but you don't know that it's nonsense because you're a Neanderthal yourself. So yes, that naturally happens in conversation. In today, I'm going to endeavor to shout less and to interrupt Zeze less.
Really a lot.
Listen, man, if I'm saying I'm going to endeavor to shout less, you don't need to say that. Like, you can just leave that.
No, I don't. I need to let you know.
No. You
really
let me know. No, you let me know.
It's really loud.
You called me last night and said, I'm going to talk about that comment.
Yeah,
I've been let known.
Yeah.
You asked me to remind you of the comment that insults me.
Yeah.
So I know now. Yeah. So now when I'm saying I'm going to improve, you ain't got to throw salt in the wound and say, oh yeah, because it's really a lot. I get that. Thank you. I appreciate what you've done for the Black Lives Matter movement. Can never go understated. Now, onto the show. How are you?
You was about to scream just then. I could hear it. Then you stopped yourself. I mean, don't censor yourself for people in the comments because they don't know what they want. Because if you do this whole episode like this, they're going to be like, oh, David, you seem like you was really down. What's wrong?
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I mean? So.
You think I'm down?
No, I know you're not down.
Yeah.
David said he doesn't get down about anything.
Not really, no. This is the problem with me and doing content. The most annoying DMs to me is when people message me like, your last video, you seemed quite upset about like Cardi B and Offset. And it's like, bro.
It's just because you're passionate and your voice is quite bassy. I mean, your voice is not bassy. It's just like your voice is quite loud.
If we start talking about laminate flooring in here right now, yeah. I will get passionate. I'm just a passionate person. It's hard to tell what I actually care about.
What do you care about, David?
I'm not going to tell the people because then they'll stop watching all my content because I don't care about anything. I don't care about 99% of the things that you see me talk about on a daily.
David cares about the check.
Onto the show. Right.
Funny.
Right. Girls wearing not a lot of clothes. I want to revisit it.
Oh, do we have to?
Yes.
Why?
Because our hands kind of touched it.
I know, that's why I moved it away.
Yeah, kind of. Your hands are soft. Can put your hand in mine?
No, you can put your hands in mine.
But yeah, so the point that I want to make is I realized from the comment section, because people was like, Zeze was right on the sexualization thing.
But was it what we need to figure out though? Even though I want to be right, who was saying that, men or women?
I didn't look at the fingers. I just look at the words.
No.
But the point is
because if it's men, of course men are gonna agree with me. Even I know that. That's misogyny. But if it's women agreeing with me,
I feel like it was women. But Z, the point is,
it up now, isn't he?
The point is that I was never disagreeing with you. And that's when I realized that a lot of people aren't able to argue the intricacies of a matter, you included. I'm going to try to break it down to you.
Oh my God. I don't need to hear it, David. I don't need to hear your textbook thoughts.
We're talking about, we're having a show where we talk.
Do you know that a lot of the stuff that you say is very textbook?
That's in your opinion. Now.
No, you say the stuff that women really want to hear. If there was a version, if there was a male version of me, which they class as a pick me, you would be it for women. They pick me. They think I say things to appease men, and I think you say things to appease women.
I don't say things to appease anybody.
Women
don't hear when I slander them if I slander men in the same sentence. That's what I've realized. If I literally go to town on girls, but they hear me say at the end, but men are trash though, they don't hear what I said about them. If you check my videos, a lot of the times, the basic sentiment of my video is, a lot of you gal are stupid and you let man railroad you. drive over you, ram you into walls, violate your life, and then you get cheated on 978 times and act like it was shocking the 979th. But then because I said he's a knob for doing that though, that's all gal here. I'm not pick me for anybody. There's equal levels of slander.
Gang.
But all that. Now, onto the sexualization comment. You were talking about the fact that there's ladies on Instagram, right? That over-sexualize themselves, right? And then are shocked when people say that they are that they're just their body, right? Okay, let's talk about that. Now, what I was trying to expound on last week is to say who's saying that.
I don't know.
No. When I say who's saying that, no. Who's over-sexualizing them and in what context? Because let's be clear, I used to back in the day argue and say, these girls, they're just showing their flesh, rare, blah, 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 blah. And I used to say a lot of that stuff that I heard you saying last week. Do you know why I stopped? Because I realized something in 2020. There's nothing that girls that are wearing less clothes are losing out of other than people's own personal sense of morality. I used to think, oh yeah, if you portray yourself like that, you won't get wifed. In 2020, I've come to understand.
It's not about being wifed.
Can I just explain my point? That's one of a list of points. I've come to understand that's not true. I used to think that girls like that wouldn't be seen as people with a brain. In 2020, that's simply not true. There are girls that post pictures like that all the time and people understand that they have a brain. Whilst doing that, they're selling their makeup. Like, for instance, let's use somebody for instance, yeah. Not saying that this person doesn't have on clothes. I'm just using them as an example. Kaz posts a lot of pictures where she might be in a bikini or whatever the case may be, but she's also selling her Kaz bands. And people understand that she's a businesswoman because of the fact that she has her own brand. Or Molly May, another example. She doesn't say much. She doesn't share her opinions much on the gram. Maybe on YouTube.
About those
but
girls.
I never said that you are. But the point that I'm making.
I'm not saying. I'm not talking about individually. I'm not talking about those type of girls. That I'm talking about girls that there's nothing else apart from you flaunting your body. There's no other. There's no brand. That's it.
But my point is, it doesn't matter. There's still guys out there that still think they have thoughts.
Okay, but that's okay. But
so
I didn't say there isn't, and that's where you again missed the point. You missed the point continuously. It seems that's not what I said.
So what's your point?
I said they can't complain. Whether there's people out there that see them beyond that, I'm saying they can't complain.
And my point about the complaining was,
as a woman, that you are fed up of being sexualized and you're more than your body, writing captions about I'm sick and tired of this, when you're not showing anything else. Someone like Molly Bay, someone like Kaz, they're showing more than that. Kaz might do a video showing her personality. Molly May might do a video showing her personality. Like you said, they've got multiple businesses. I'm not talking about those women. I'm talking about women that all we see is your bum and that is it.
But the point that I'm making is that which I was saying to you last week, is you're saying that they complain, but I said, what are they complaining about?
They are being sexualized and people don't see them more than their bodies. What are you not understanding?
No, you're staying in the general. You are generalizing and saying that they've been complaining about.
When you have opinions, everything is generalizations.
Interruption number one.
Everything is because you're chatting.
So listen to what I'm saying. You sounded like Castillo hard just then. Yeah. So the point that I'm making is that if I'm a girl, right, that I'm scantily clad, right, there's not a lot of cotton in the sewing of my clothes, right? And then there's men in my comment section harassing me.
But we established already that we're not talking about harassing. We established that last week.
But that's the majority of the complaints.
We are not talking about harassing. We're talking about men that they feel like they're being sexualized. Okay, whether it's that's drooling faces or it's men putting like emojis or whatever.
There's girls out here complaining over drooling face emojis.
Okay, I don't understand what the point of this conversation is.
You're now realizing where I'm at.
No, it's not.
Give me the example.
Because David, I just asked you just a minute ago. When I just said to you, what did I say to you? People in the comments that you saying agree with me, are they men or are they women? You yourself who read the comments, you didn't even go the extra mile to see if it was a man or a woman.
What does that
so why would you expect me to know every single comment that is in the comments of a girl that wants to show her ass.
Give me one example that isn't harassment.
I just gave you an example. What is the point?
So girls are complaining over drooling face emojis.
I'm not having this conversation because it's actually dumb.
Girls are complaining over drooling face emojis.
Are you dumb? Or are you just here to piss me off today?
Give me an example.
I just gave you a example.
The drooling face emoji.
Are you dumb? I'm not having this conversation.
There's girls out here saying, man, are putting drooling face emojis in my comment section.
That's a part of sexualizing. You're drooling over her body.
I'm saying, is she complaining over that?
That is sexualizing.
The girls that complain, oftentimes, I'm not saying that there isn't some that complain dumbly, but most of the times, girls that complain, there's men that are actually harassing them. What they're doing would be considered harassment. If you're in a girl's comment section talking about, I'd love to beat that, or I'd love to smash, or look at the tits on that, or in their DMs talking about, yo, you should come mine, or yo, how much would you charge for a couple pictures, or whatever the case may be, those things are considered harassment. And I think when women complain about being over-sexualized on social media, that's what they're talking about, and I didn't want that to be confused. Do you understand that point?
We finished?
Do you understand that point?
No, I don't care for this topic anymore.
Why don't you?
Because you always do this. You read the comments, now you feel like you have to come back.
No, I was saying this last year. I was saying last week, sorry.
Like you read the comments and then you feel like you have to re-emphasize what you said because you don't want people to think that you're wrong or that you're fake.
I don't care about people thinking that I'm wrong.
You
I just
are,
want
because
my
that's
point
exactly
to be.
what you did with the whole Wiley thing. You read the comments, you came back, and then you apologized for what you said, and then you've done this again. You've read the comment. Whatever you say, stick by it. If people don't agree with you, they don't agree with you.
No,
End of.
I don't think people understood.
No, you don't think people understood you because they're agreeing with me. That's the point.
No, because
if people weren't agreeing with me, you wouldn't think they don't understand you.
I didn't disagree with you.
Okay, but you're saying I don't think people understand me, but you're only saying that because they're saying I agree.
And with the Wiley situation, I apologize because it's involved a person. I'm saying I went in on a person too long.
No, you felt that and you didn't like the fact that you was painted in this bad light.
I ain't heard you say nothing to the point that I just made.
Because I don't care, David.
You don't have no examples of harassment.
Care.
You don't have no examples of over.
Why
emojis cool. Next time.
Why do I need to have multiple? Do I sit there and screenshot things?
You don't have
an example. I gave you examples last week and I gave you examples today. I gave you an example last week.
What was the example?
Okay, David, you didn't give me none. You're actually dumb.
Girls, Patricia Bright. You said you had a point on this.
I don't have a point anymore because I don't understand the whole point of that conversation. It's
point
very dumb.
I'm trying to have a conversation on a different level, and you're not at the level, so you don't want to go there.
It's not about. It's about you always having to. Oh wait, I didn't mean that because everyone thinks.
Now we're not discussing the discussion. We're discussing the fact that we're discussing.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you doing that?
Because I can.
Okay, let's discuss the fact that we're discussing.
Okay,
there's a difference between the Wiley situation and this.
There's not. It's
yes,
you.
There is.
It's not. It's you coming back.
People understood what I said in the Wiley.
No, they didn't. That's why you was getting dragged in comments.
They understood and disagreed.
And then you felt you had to come back and say, well, actually, no, sorry. No. And that's what you're doing now.
Again, you can say that, but it's not the truth. People understood what I said about Wiley.
About Patricia Bright, then they'll say Zeze's right, and then you're going to come back and be like, well, what I was actually saying.
No, I don't have a problem with people thinking I'm wrong. I have a problem with when people don't understand what I'm debating. Because if people are saying Zeze was right on this when I didn't debate you on that, I was debating something else, then of course I'm going to come back and reiterate and make it clear. There's a difference between that. With Wiley, they understood what they disagreed.
You're saying that because they said, I agree. That you clearly said in the beginning, everyone's saying they agree with you. I feel like I need to talk about what I meant.
Yes.
Because so basically the only reason why you feel like you have to talk about what you meant was because they agree with me.
Yeah. But I don't have a problem with them agreeing with you.
You do, because you do it all the time.
It wasn't an agreeing conversation.
It is. They agree with me.
No, it was. I didn't disagree with you.
They agree with me. They don't agree.
I didn't disagree with you.
For about 15 minutes last week.
I didn't.
You disagreed.
The conversation carried on that long because you didn't understand.
There's nothing to understand. You just kept saying, oh, harassing. I said, we're not talking about harassing.
So what are we talking about?
We're talking about being sexualized. There's different ways. Do you know what being sexualized means? It means being seen in a sexual way.
Yes.
There's loads of different ways someone can see you in a sexual way. It could be that when the girls are complaining, it's not because, there's a comment there. It could be something that's happened off the ground when they've seen somebody. I don't know these girls, so I'm not going to say to them, sis, tell me how you were sexualized. But I see things like you see things that I might not see. So I'm not going to say every time you have a opinion, give me an example. I need an example because I don't believe. If you're saying I've seen this is what I've seen, why do I need to now do a deep dive investigation into what you've seen?
If their complaints fall under harassment, then they have a right to complain.
So dumb. Jeez. Sometimes that comes out of your mouth is beyond me.
It's not dumb at all. It makes perfect sense.
It's very dumb.
If the complaint comes under harassment, then it's harassment.
Okay, cool. Next.
Patricia Bright, you said that I missed the point.
It wasn't about validation. It's not about her having validation from Twitter or from people validating her. She was saying that it's funny how something like designer bags have managed to trend, but when I was doing something, it wasn't received as well. But that just, like I always say, positive music is not received as well as negative music, or music like way talking about putting someone in a coffin over someone maybe like Wretch who releases a album of substance. And that's basically what she's saying, that sometimes in the black community or whenever, or in general, we latch onto the things that really are not going to do anything for us, but the things that might help us in life, we kind of disregard them and we don't make a big noise about them, but then we'll be the first to complain that there's no positive stuff about us. And that's what she was saying. Not, oh, I wanted my thing to trend, I needed it to trend. Patricia Bright don't need us to help her trend. My girl's doing very well. Very, very, very well.
And you thought that I didn't understand that.
You then made a whole video about you don't need to have validation.
What was I
Twitter.
talking about?
You was talking about her saying about her trending.
No.
So why did you use the example then?
I said the girls getting dragged on social media over a minor issue. So I was saying to people, this is why I don't put stock in social media, because they will praise you. I seen you and bare people in the tweet saying, why are people cancelling or dragging Patricia Bright over what she said? And when I looked at what she said, I understood what she was saying immediately, which is what you just explained, because people care more about a Birkin bag than an actual bag, because they care more about stunting than they care about.
What you said in your video.
No, because my video wasn't about. I said in the video, if you think I'm here to talk about the intricacies of the bag situation, I'm not.
But then you made it about her, about the fact that about validation.
No, not her validation.
But then do you understand how it looks then? That you've used Patricia's Bright example and then you've gone on to talk about, that's why I don't use Twitter as validation.
I made it very, very clear. I said that this is why, because she's getting dragged. I wasn't talking about her getting dragged, not what she's getting dragged about. I'm saying,
why did you need to mention stuff about having, like, it doesn't matter about trending. It doesn't matter if, I don't care if I'm trending or not.
I never said the word trending once in that video.
You said something about,
I never said the word trending. I said, never the word trending wouldn't even come out of my mouth. I said that the point of my video and what I said was Patricia Bright is getting dragged over this. I'm not discussing that because I'm a big man that pays council tax. I'm not here to discuss the bag. But what I will say is, this is why I don't take validation from social media, because Patricia Bright, until she made that tweet, was beloved by some of the people that were dragging.
So you're saying that by you saying that, it seems like you're saying that Patricia Bright has a problem with the fact that she didn't feel validated by putting out that post.
I made it clear I'm not talking about Patricia Bright at the start of the video. Yeah,
so because so don't use that. Don't use it as an example then.
No.
Because it's got not.
You had a problem with. You thought I missed the point. I was making it clear I didn't.
No, because you then don't use her as an example. Don't use that situation as an example. Then talk about something different. Because it's gonna go together.
You were the only person. You and like two other people were the only. You and like two people in the comment section was the only people that was confused. I was not talking about.
Brilliant.
I was talking about Patricia Bright, but not about what she talked about. I was talking about the fact that she was getting dragged. That's what I was talking about.
Okay, next.
UK lockdown.
Well, it's not really a lockdown, is it? We've got restaurants and hospitality on curfew.
Yeah, but at 10 o'clock, COVID comes out.
I know. So and also it only comes out. It stops coming out when you're eating. Because when you're in a group
of 6, if you make sure there's 6 of you, then COVID doesn't touch you.
So when you sit down at the table and you take your mask off to eat, the COVID, there's like a barrier. You know, like in those films where it's like that wall and you go through, it's like a virtual wall like that. It goes around, a cocoon around you. But the people in the restaurant that are serving you, they're also open to it. That's why they still have to wear the mask. Yeah. And then...
You're actually extra safe if you just put the mask over half of your mouth.
Yeah.
Did you hear about
just
that?
Like that
Yeah. As like a mustache. Yeah.
Basically. And then also, what else is there? Yeah, that's it. And then
people that are in relationships are now allowed to have sex as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They stopped having sex?
Yeah, and you know how that's shut down for a bit. But yeah.
So basically, okay, they've found a way to stop. So maybe we should just bone each other so that the COVID doesn't reach us. We just all have big old orgies. That would be
I thought
sick.
you were saying
Me and you?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Not after the escapade that you just put up just now.
improper escapade.
I couldn't think of anything worse. I can just about look at you, mate. Anyway, what was I saying?
Why are you so hurt?
Because you're annoying.
Why am I annoying?
Because there's things that you just there was absolutely no need to address from last week. No one cares. No one cared about it anymore.
I cared.
Yeah, exactly. That's my whole point. Anyway, I think
is my care not valid?
My thing with the lockdown
My care is not valid.
My thing with the lockdown is
my
I
care
just
not
feel
valid?
like they're doing this to.
If I care to talk about something, is that valid?
I just think that they are doing this because they want they want it to seem like they're doing something. Do you get what I mean? They want it to see, and they said this could last for 6 months. Because after 10 o'clock, this is how it doesn't make sense. After 10 o'clock, everyone has to go home. So then everyone's going home at one time, if you get what I mean. And everyone's then going to rush to the pub for more because everyone's going to be thinking it shuts at 10. So I need to get to the pub, meaning more people go to the pub. Because
pub's gonna have nightmare getting people out.
100%.
Nobody. The problem. What makes me think because I don't think that they care about our lives in it. Personally,
of course they don't.
No, so I'm saying, why are they even?
Because they have to look like they're doing something.
But do they though? Because literally, once lockdown stopped trending the first time, let's be real. When lockdown stopped trending and Black Lives Matter started trending, lockdown wasn't able to trend again, bro. Like lockdown didn't come back.
Lockdown 2 is trending now.
But yeah, it is. But is it?
No,
it's trending, but it's only trending for people to say, hey, nobody doing no lockdown. When people listen, you can't. I'm just telling you right now, nobody ain't going into their house twice. Okay, you got that off one time. Other than those legal people, those super I will follow the law. Like I will obey simply because I don't go nowhere. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because my jobs won't be there. Not in the flesh anyway, because companies will have to follow the rules. But for the general public, right?
But will companies have to follow the rules?
They probably won't because it'll be considered
working, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be considered work. So, and that's the only time I leave my house anyway. Right. So I'll follow the rules simply because I'm a homebody. But the bottom line is, people are not going. You got that off once. You had it. It was good. It was listen. I loved it. It was fun. Everybody stayed in their house. House party app came through. Lots of people met people like house party.
House party.
Listen,
oh my god!
There was Zoom calls. There was this. There was that. You got it off. It's done, bro. It ain't gonna happen again. Especially, listen. If you really wanted people to leave, to go back into their yards, you wouldn't have let Boris do that announcement, bro. It doesn't matter how much he combed his hair this time. It doesn't matter, bro. If you really wanted people to stay in their yards, bro, you would have had somebody else come and say that because we can't live. I cannot take that man seriously.
I think that. Would you think Christmas is going to be cancelled?
Boris said that
he will allow it for Christmas Day.
We can die on Christmas Day. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. For me, it's just like, why don't you just let us die?
I think it should just be...
Seeing as you don't care about our lives anyway.
I think there's no cure. So all that's going to happen is, even if there was like a proper lockdown again, we'd have another lockdown, the numbers would go down again, then they let us all out again, and the numbers go back up again.
The point of making the numbers go down is so that
the NHS, no stress on the NHS.
But then... I've heard varying reports, but I've heard some hospitals saying, bro,
there's nothing happening in the hospital. Yeah, I've heard that as well.
And I've heard people say that there was stuff going on.
I heard there was one lady that went viral, and she said that she was made redundant during the whole thing, during the thick of it. Yeah. She was made redundant because there was no work for them. And I've heard, like you said, I've heard other people saying that nurses are coming out, like this other nurse, she did this thing and she was like, people are saying, thank you, well done, you worked so hard. And she was like, she said, I felt bad. So I have to let the truth know I didn't do anything. Like I've done nothing during this whole pandemic. Absolutely nothing. My hospital's been quiet. But then my cousin, she works in a hospital and she said it was chock-a-block in there. So that's what I mean. There's so many different...
But it might be chock-a-block because people are going in because they've got flu symptoms and thinking that it's COVID.
Right, yeah. But do you remember that big ass temporary one they built as well? It XL and scared the out of everyone because they were like, 2 morgues, enough space for 25,000 beds. Nah, I think there's a lot of scaremongering going on though. I think there definitely is a scaremongering tactic that goes on.
Those are private conversations for private places. Publicly, we say stay home, keep the NHS safe. But yeah, UK lockdown number 2, I don't know how that...
No, but there's some guy, he made a good point, because he was like, we're on lockdown. I said, no, we're not. It's the hospitality sector. And he was like, do you think, like you said, basically, do you think the government could put us on curfew? Like, we have too much rights here in the UK. There's no way they can put us on curfew, so they have to just shut everything down.
I think we're living in a world now where we can see things happen that, number one, what they've already done to us last year would have been a myth.
What do you mean?
Pre-COVID, telling everybody to stay in their yards would have been wild. So we live in a new world now.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
I'm saying pre-COVID happening, telling an entire country to stay in their yards would have been a wild thing to say.
Oh yeah, obviously, because there's nothing to stop, nothing to make us. So then that's what I'm saying. The scaremongering.
Curfew isn't as wild as it was a year ago. We're discussing it now. It's even a point of discussion.
Of course.
And with the vaccine, this is how they might be able to make people take the vaccine. You don't have to take the vaccine, but now companies say you can't work here if you don't take the vaccine.
And they're not going to let you travel and all that.
You don't do this if you don't take the vaccine. You don't do that. That's why I'm just staying caked up. Although I don't know where I stand on the vaccine, but I'm just staying caked up just in case
a couple first episodes, you said you was got to be first in line for that shit.
Yeah, but that was off cam.
No, it wasn't. It was on the episode. I said, are you going to use that? Yeah, I'm there. I'm there, front line.
Well, this won't be.
I mean, certain men don't even remember what they say, but you said you're taking that.
I was considering taking it until I heard the theory that they might shut you out of jobs. Now, that sounds too Mark of the Beastie to me, and that's why.
But it was already probably going to be like...
No, but the reason why I'm saying is because if you're telling me I can't go into your shop, I can't have a job, I can't do nothing if I don't take a vaccine, it just comes across too 666 for me.
Just, what they'll say is that
666
because you're it's to protect other people.
Yeah, I know what they're saying, but I'm saying it just comes across too much that for me. You understand what I'm saying?
Fair enough.
I'll bunker down. Right, Young Miami.
What?
Young Miami is an American rapper, and a video was going viral of her on a little boat, maybe a yacht, maybe like, it wasn't a yacht. It's like a little boat.
Do you say yacht? Do you mean yacht?
Yacht.
Wow.
I'm from Birmingham.
Yacht.
Is that how would you say yacht?
Yeah. Yacht.
Okay,
Don't try and include Jamal in this.
Oh no, I was just asking. I thought it was a Birmingham thing.
For your yacht. That's not.
So obviously, there was on the yacht here.
Man said yacht. And then tried to include you in like, what, Jamal, do you not say?
I just had to check a Birmingham reference.
No, brother. Right. No one, yacht.
Okay, so he was...
It'd be like yacht.
Young Miami was on the yacht, and she was twerking, and her son was right there.
Oh, isn't she part of City Girls?
Maybe. Let me show you the video for context so that you can... What do you think about that?
Again, I just don't think you should be doing those things in front of your son.
Okay, now
number one.
All right.
Should I tell you why?
Because yes, I'm going to ask why, and it's not because I disagree with you.
Why? Because I didn't say you can't. Anyway,
the
reason why is because I think those things teach your son from a young age about sexualizing women, even though you're his mum. But then she's got women on that boat there that are not his relatives.
Do you think it's impossible for a man to be attracted to his mum? Do you think it's impossible for you at that age to be so confused by what he's seeing that he starts to sexualize his mum? Do you think that's impossible?
I don't think the youth would sexualize it. I think we're sexualizing it because we know.
Answer the question I asked you.
You don't think
it's possible?
I don't think his
mum.
Yeah.
I don't think his mum. No, wait a minute. I don't think he can. I don't know if he'll sexualize his mum.
No, I'm not saying it's likely.
No. Wait, let me finish. I don't think he can. I don't know. I'm not saying he would sexualize his mum, but I think that behavior teaches him then to look at women in a certain way, if you get what I mean. But again, there's other women on that boat that were twerking that are not his mum. So then there's what I would say to that is no. But I don't know. I don't think it's impossible. As weird as that sounds, I don't think it's impossible.
I don't know why people even think it's not.
Yeah, I think there's psychology behind it that does prove that they're like, well, there's proof that your first love is your mother, but that's a different type of love.
Yeah, of course.
But there's still that Yeah, like I don't
See,
have
the thing
to.
is, in my lifetime, having come across different people, right? Things that I thought was sense, they didn't look at the world that way, and it was because of how they were brought up. We have to understand that the mind of a child has not yet been sculpted. It hasn't. So a child's mind is being sculpted on the go. I meet people that they say up until they was 18, 19, 20, they didn't know to have self-respect. They didn't know to love themselves. They thought they were ugly. They thought they were this. They thought they were that because their parents instilled that in them. The mind of a child is a malleable mind. We can sit here as adults and say that a child will never sexualize his mom because we're adults that understand the child-mom dynamic, but a child doesn't understand how an adult understands. So it is not impossible for a child to be sexually attracted to his mom. I don't believe that. Of course, it's wild. It seems wild to us, but I don't think it's impossible. I do not think that's impossible because it's a child. They have, okay, so let's say in the wildest circumstances, you have people that have been molested by their parents, right? Or by family members. You don't think that that might confuse a young mind?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So, okay, obviously that's an extreme, but maybe a lighter level of seeing your mom. Okay, let's say that kid, because we be thinking that kids don't know sexual things before they do, but they know way younger than we think, right?
Yeah.
So that kid's now aware that twerking is sexual. He's got an already sexually activated mind, because I know bagger man who their first sexual experience was mad young, okay? So his mom's twerking in front of him. He knows what twerking is. He knows what it's about. Half these celebrities probably don't even get to see their kid as often as other people see their kid or speak to their kids anyway, because they're celebrities and they're running around doing this and that. Kid probably with nanny lots of the time. So he might not be as connected to his, of course he's connected to his mom, but maybe not as we was, where our parents waited on us hand and foot and didn't have anybody else to do it, right? So he sees his mom twerking, and then he immediately, without doing it on purpose, subconsciously correlates his mom twerking with when he's seen other girls twerk and felt something. It's not impossible.
The only thing that I would say to counteract that is there's certain like in the Western world, we see twerking as a sexual thing, but in certain tribes in Africa and other countries, twerking, that type of dancing where because twerking, we've made it a sexual thing, but in certain tribes in Africa, dancing like that is not a sexual thing. Them moving their bum, them moving their waist and whatever, that's a part of their culture. It's not a sexual dance. It's how they dance. And there's also certain tribes in Africa where the mum walks around topless and they don't wear. So then does a little boy then look? I don't think the boy then looks at his mum in a sexual way because she's got her breasts out. That's just a part of their culture. It's only because in the Western world, like Jamal was saying, we've made twerking a sexual thing.
Jamal was saying that we're sexualizing it because we're adults.
And the fact that, because we know twerking to be sexual. We know that twerking is a sexual dance in the Western culture.
But the kids growing up in Western culture?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm saying that to counteract that, I don't think just because you see somebody dancing sexually, it automatically then makes it. That child doesn't know that twerking is a sexual thing.
But doesn't he?
No, yeah, because all he's seen is his mum shaking the bum. We see it, like Jamal saying, as a sexual dance.
But I'm saying the child could know more than we know.
How would he know? Because how would a child know that that twerking is a sexual dance unless he's seen it associated with sex? But say all he's ever seen that twerking dance to be is his mum and her friends joking around and they're laughing and there's nothing sexual going on. All he's seen is his mum moving the waist.
I'm not saying it's probable. Just saying it's not impossible.
He's not on the blog sites. He's not on at that young age. Obviously, when you get to
how do you know that?
That little boy is 3 years old. He's not on a blog. He's not on a blog. 13. Yeah, but what you're saying as well, how do you know that he's on the thing?
No, I don't, but we don't know. I said it's not impossible.
No, but what I'm saying...
You're saying he's not on the blog site?
Yeah, but there's no... Okay, unless she puts him on a blog site, there's no way that 3-year-old is on Shade Room unless she's showing him that content. But there's no way that he's on Shade Room, okay? There's no way, okay? Unless she gives him the phone and he's scrolling. But of his own accord, he's not going to end up on Shade Room. He'll end up on a game when you give him the phone, okay? You'd have to navigate yourself around the phone, okay? Granted, 3-year-olds know how to do that, but you're not going to end up unless he's watching porn. Okay, so you don't know. And I'm saying these are all that can happen. They're all probable things, causes that could happen.
That's all
what
I'm
saying is that also certain cultures, twerking is not a sexual thing. Dancing, like we've given it the name twerking, but that type of dancing comes from African culture, which is a cult. Some of the way they dance, when you watch a lot of African tribes dance, they dance like that. They use sometimes that as chanting, as spiritual dances. So to automatically say that a young child sees that and associates it with sex.
I never said automatically. I said it could happen.
Okay, or saying that, or even saying that there's the other side of no, he might just actually
of
seeing
course
it.
There's the other side.
He might just see it as dancing. I don't know why you're screwing your face. I'm just giving an example. So it
No,
was
but
a
I'm
counter.
saying we're discussing.
It's a counter.
You don't need to counter. I'm just saying it's possible.
No, yeah, you do counter. I'm saying I'm giving the other side. So it is a counteract because unless I'm agreeing with you, it's a counteracting argument. It's not a negative thing.
You do agree with me that it's possible?
No, okay, but I not straight away. No, I don't think I didn't. I would look at that and think.
I just said it's possible.
Yeah, David, I know you said that, but you said it's not a counteract, and I said it is a counteract because anything that you don't agree with, it's a counteracting opinion.
But you said you agree.
I didn't say I agree.
You said you agree that it's possible.
I said I don't agree with you. That wasn't the first thing that came to mind. I just said that it might teach him to sexualize women.
But how would it teach him to sexualize women?
Because there's other women around him that he doesn't. The whole thing was to his mum. Your whole thing was his mum. And I said, no, I don't necessarily agree with that. That would be the first thing that he's going to sexualize his mum. It might, the other women around him who he doesn't have that mother-son bond with as a mother. I'm sorry, you know that someone is your mum.
I never said that he doesn't know that
so
he's
then, so then there's certain things that, whether it's genetics, I don't know how the bond works between a mother and the child. If there is something actually psychologically that lets you know that this is my mother and I don't look at her in this way.
Okay.
None of us are.
This is all new territory,
okay,
right?
Exactly. And none of us are well equipped to say, but a psychologist might come and say, no, actually, there's a chemical that does let you know that this person is your mother and you should not sexualize them. There's a thing like how does a 3-year-old know to protect his mum? How do they know that? Over another woman that might be in the house a lot. How does he know that? It's like my dog knows that I'm his mum dog, or however you want to talk. So he's always got to protect. But how does he know that? This discussion, me personally, this discussion I think is too intricate for us who are not well equipped with biology, psychology to say a son can be sexually attracted to their mum, because there must be a thing where there must be something in the brain that lets us know this is my mother or this is my parent, so I'm not going to sexualize them unless, like we said, unless you have been sexualized by that parent, then there might be a blurred line or a relative. So it's like some people, like you said, there might be a relative that takes advantage of the young person, and then that fucks with their head and their psyche. I also think that we also know that, well, from what I've read, that a child's mind is quite pure until they're exposed to certain things. So I don't know that if he's not been, like, again, I don't know the background. I don't know what she does in front of him. I don't know, like, if she's, talks about sex in front of him or whatever. But also a child could look at that and just see it as my mum is having fun. Do you get what I mean? Because it's not like, I think it would be different maybe actually if she was doing it on a man, and then he learns that behaviour.
I strongly assume she has in front of him.
Okay, but I don't want to strongly assume anything because I've not seen it, and
that's fair.
I don't want to say, oh, she probably has done it in front of her. We're gonna go by what we see there in that video.
You're gonna go.
Okay, well, I think that would be the best thing to do instead of being like, oh, she definitely has done it in front of him,
I never said definitely. I said strongly assume,
which is basically definitely.
It's not.
Which is strongly assume is that you could bet that she has done it. Okay.
I would bet, yeah.
Okay, so then it outweighs that she hasn't done it. So you think more than likely she's done it, which is a strong possibility. So my whole thing is that we, again, like Jamal was saying, maybe we as humans, because we know what is associated with twerking, why we would look at that and be like, that is, she shouldn't do that in front of him. That was my initial thing. But I'm talking about, the only reason why I said it is because there's other women around him that he might, it's like when little boys, or you like little boys might have a crush on someone older, like you're the mum's friend, and they go up to him and they're fascinated, but they might actually, it might not be a sexual thing either. It could just be like, I really like the way she looks, and this is new to me, and oh wow, like it's not my mum, but this is another woman that, oh my God, the way the woman's hair is, or her eyes, or there's just something that they like about the woman, but it might not be a sexual thing. Do you get what I'm saying? I think early sexual behavior is learned. I don't think it's something that is ingrained in us. Do you get what I mean? But again, that's my opinion. I'd have to read up on it. I'd have to find out the biology of when, how, and why sexual urges come, and where does that all come from? Is it because of what we're exposed to, or is it just a thing that grows? Because if it's a natural thing that grows, then how are some people asexual? If it was just a thing that is in us inherently, like we are gonna be horny bunnies, then how come some people are asexual? Do you get what I mean? How come some people just don't have any sexual urges? Or how come some people have lower sex drives than the other? Like I probably have a higher sex drive because I had sex later on in life. So now I've like all the things that I might have seen, or things I saw on the television, and like my mind or whatever. And then there's some guys that have really high warped sex fantasies because they watch a lot of porn, so that their mind is seeing different things. So I think there's too much intricacies with this topic to be like this equals this. I need to know the biology of when your sex drive, or how sexual thoughts even start, and how they start, and where they come from. My
thing is, of course, we're discussing right now a wild scenario, so I understand that the scenario is wild. Yes, we can both definitely agree that by seeing his mum do that, especially around other women, he could end up sexualizing women, expecting certain things of women. Do you get what I'm saying? Like whatever, like he might go up to a girl and say, you know, do what mommy did, shake your bottom like mommy did, or whatever the case may be. Those are things that are more likely.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm discussing this is because we're in new territory. Yes, in African culture, dancing is a thing, but everything's within context, within growing up in Africa. Now we're in the Western world where, as you said, these things are sexualized. I believe we can see things happen now that we haven't seen before. Let's not act like, say, incestual things don't happen or aren't possible. People have done things with their cousins, their siblings, their uncles, their dads on purpose. These things happen on purpose, not an accident. So it's not impossible for you to have a familial or family relationship with somebody and then stretch it across that. What I'm saying is that what's happening with kids now, we've never seen before. What happened with young Miami there and her son? That weren't happening when we was growing up.
I wouldn't say that.
I'm saying
I wouldn't, because
never happened around me. Let me fix that. Yeah. Never happened around me.
And also we didn't have social media and the internet growing up to let us see what's happening. But I know, like,
I don't want to labor on that. I still have points to make. Like, I'm not finished.
I'm just okay.
Yeah, I've already accepted that. I ain't seen that happen around me. That's not common. That wasn't common around me back in the day. To me, this is new territory. Now, young Miami lives a certain lifestyle. If her son is coming around with her, he's probably seen her twerk multiple times. Probably went for a music video where she might have been twerking on a guy or a girl, because that can be sexual as well. Like, all different scenarios that these kids are growing up with, seeing things that my generation around me, the people that were around me that I know from my knowledge, never saw, right? So for me, it's a thing where we do not know, because, as I said, I've talked to full-blown adults that don't know basic things because their parents never taught it to them, or think wrong things because their parents taught it to them. Like, grown people, like full-blown adults, that have said, yeah, I up until the age of 20 genuinely didn't think I was worth anything because my mum said to me I wasn't worth anything. So what we're feeding our kids now can affect them, and we can't tell how it will affect their mind. We just can't tell.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Unless she does it around him in a sexual way, then he wouldn't equal twerking to be sexual.
No, again, never disagreed with that.
So that's what I'm saying. So then
I'm saying that in that moment, twerking is a sexualized act in the West. Yes, but I'm saying that
as adults.
I'm saying that I don't assume that child doesn't. First of all, you said it was free. I don't know how old he is, but I'm saying
he does not look more than the age of 5.
Fair enough, but I'm saying that I know little kids that either have their phone, use their parents' phone, or have an iPad, and they know how to traverse the internet. They scroll past Instagram and see all the things we see.
That's then on the parent or what they're exposing them to, and then they would know that it's not something that they know. My whole thing is not something that a child automatically knows is sexual. Yeah, so then it depends what she's exposing him to, but we don't know that. So
I'm saying most kids these days. Let's say the kid was twice his age and 11, right?
Well, that's different because you're now going to school. You're in secondary school. You're hitting total different territories.
So it's okay. So are you saying that when you're at 11, then it's okay for your mum to twerk around you?
No, I think that's even worse. I think it's worse to do that because you are now aware of the sexual. You're at, like, most guys will maybe say, I don't know when most men get their first boner or whatever. Or but in secondary school, I mean, in primary school, they teach you about sex education.
Yeah.
So year 6, I don't even know year 5, year 6. I think now. I think if they want it to be lower, you're aware of what sex is. You're being taught about the reproductive. They would have spoken about a boner, why you get sexually aroused, how you get sexually aroused. So I think it's worse because now at that age the son can go, like, granted, if the mum gives him Instagram, she's wrong for that, like that. But I'm saying as a 10-year-old, even younger than that, you can spell words, you can go on Pornhub and put twerking. So but that's a different subject because now they're older, they've got friends, they've all got phones, they can talk on the phone, they can see stuff, they're getting sexual urges. Do you get what I'm saying?
The problem is that as a parent you have to assume you do not, if you're a smart parent, it's best to assume you do not know everything your child knows.
Oh, that's what, but of course not, but not at the age of 3 or below the age of 5. That's what I'm saying. Certain things that we see as bad, a child sees as pure. So that child could just see that as my mum is dancing. If all he's ever known is his mum to dance and it's just that's how she dances, he's not going to equal that to that is sexual. Do you get what I'm saying?
If he has no context.
It's just her dancing. That's my mum dancing. Then when he goes into the real world, it's just like, some parents don't think it's bad to swear around their children. So their children might not think it's bad until they get into the real world and they're going around saying, you idiot, but it's not, they
haven't social spaces they when to and where to.
They don't know that actually in the wide world, this is bad. You don't say in the wide world because it's bad, but growing up, they've just seen it as that's something that my mum does and I didn't see it was wrong. But it's because us as society have made swearing bad. And that's what I'm saying about the twerking. In his household, twerking might not equal sexual. Twerking could equal, this is what mummy does when she's happy. Like, if I see mummy dancing like this, it's because she's happy. We look at that as sexual as adults because we've been told that. And that's my point.
When you understand that twerking is seen as sexual, right? And understand that at some point your child will also, does that affect whether you twerk around your child or not?
I agree with that.
Like, for me, I wouldn't want my girlfriend or my wife to ever have our child in any room and be twerking in front of our child. That's how I would I'm not calling it wrong or anything. I'm saying my preference. My preference is because whether the child understands or not, one day, because of Western culture and way sooner than we probably think, he will know. And then he'll look at it and have to say, my mum's over there doing a sexual thing. And I don't want that. I don't want that for my youth.
But then going back to your conversation, his mum should be able to do what she wants. It's up to her if she wants to twerk and sexualise herself, according to you last week.
Yeah, if she does, but she has to also understand the ramifications.
But there might not be any ramifications.
There might not be.
Yeah, so if she feels like I'm not doing it in a sexual way, me dancing, me shaking my bum, because technically it's only sexual because of how someone else sees it. So if we're going about what you said last week, her twerking, like you said, women posting a picture of themselves might not actually be for them to be sexual. It could just be like, well, I don't see my bum as a sexual thing, so I'm going to post my bum. So that young Miami, she might not see twerking as a sexual thing. She might just see it as an expression of dance.
Everybody, as long as it's legal, can do whatever they want. There are potential ramifications, but that's up to you to face. You just have to understand that they exist, and if you face them, then you face them.
I do. I think it's hard because I think, like I said, in some cultures, I mean, if I'm being honest with you, the reason why
I don't think it's hard to not twerk around
when I think no, because in some cultures that's like when I've gone, and I'm saying African culture because I think African culture, I feel like whining in Caribbean culture is quite sexual.
Yes.
It's quite, whoever says it's not, it's a sexual dance, okay? Yeah. Whereas in African culture, when the women are using their waist, it's not always as sexual. It's, again, but twerking it's just a Western name for what African women have been doing. And that's, again, why a lot of black women are like, Miley Cyrus made twerking a thing, but African women have been quote unquote twerking for thousands of years. They've been twerking is literally you moving your bum back and forth.
Oh no, I understand.
That is it. And we've just used the word twerking but African and black women, same thing, have been twerking quote unquote for hundreds of years, and it was not a sexual thing.
Yeah, but when a whole culture and a community is built around something, is different from when Miami
they're still going to grow up and maybe step outside of that community.
Very true.
So it's more or less the same thing. My thing is just that I think I wouldn't say the child.
So would you twerk in front of your youth?
I don't know. I don't think that twerking always has to be sexual. I don't know. I can't say that. I might dance. Me and my husband might dance in front of my child, and people might say, "Why are you dancing like that?"
I never said dance. I'm just asking you, would you twerk?
No, but that's what because also there's certain dancing that you can do with your husband that can be sexual. You can do that in front of your children, because there actually could be a detachment, as in, this is my mother, so I don't see it sexual.
Yeah.
However, it's probably more detrimental.
Yeah, that's fair.
Me taking them to carnival and seeing daggering, which is 100 times worse in my opinion, is the action of sex of a man going boof, boof.
That's why I wouldn't take my youth to carnival.
But that's why I said I can't answer that question, because then I'd have to think, if I don't want to twerk, then
well, think about it.
I don't know, David, because that's why I don't answer questions like that, because I'm not in it, and that's why I don't answer questions like, would you take your man back if he cheated? I don't know. I actually don't know, because I don't know how I'm going to feel when my man cheats on me and what history I have with my man. And then that's another thing of, that's why I don't want to answer that question, because then you could go even deeper. Should then your husband grab your bum in front of your children? Should your husband come up behind you and grab your bum?
For me,
that's sexualizing. For me,
still... I'm not on like, for me, it's a try my best thing. If I have kids, I'm trying my best to avoid all sexual activity around them.
See, I don't agree with that, because I think then you teach your children, because
of course it's always the plan to teach them.
But I also think you should teach your children about being affectionate and showing love.
I said affection. I said sexual.
But husband smacking my bum.
I'm not smacking my wife's bum around my kids. His way of showing, like when I'm at the kitchen thing. That's his thing. Yeah, I might
sneak
a smack when none of the kids are looking, but I'm not knowing that my kids are looking at me, like they're literally looking at me.
Yeah, but then some people, then that's what I'm saying. Then that's what I'm saying.
For me.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I can't answer the question, because then I would then take it a step further. Do I want my husband to do that? Do me and my husband think that is acceptable, or do we do that and explain to our children we do that because
we love each other,
and I'm happy for him to do that. If I wasn't happy for him to do that, then he wouldn't do it. Yeah. So then there's open conversations,
and that's my biggest problem with when I watch the Young Miami video. It's not actually the twerking that's actually my main problem. My main problem is, obviously I don't know her business, but I don't know what these parents be telling their kids. Because when I was growing up here, my parents sat and talked to me about a variety. To this day, I can still get a talking to from my parents about a variety of life's issues, and I don't know that parents are doing that these days, sitting and having conversations with their kids. So when you do these things and then you don't give them any context, you just keep doing things, living your life however you want to, your kids watching, your kids seeing, no context, no conversation, no explanation. How do you expect them to grow up as an adult and function?
Yeah, I agree with that. But that's why also I think sometimes, like, it's how, again, like, I think it's more detrimental to for him to see a man maybe behind his mum, because then he would probably go and copy that.
With a girl,
with a girl. So
that's why I definitely wouldn't be taking my youth to carnival, because with carnival,
of course,
a random man will go behind a random girl.
But then I might think to my, exactly. But then I have to weigh that up. Is that something then that I'd sit down with my children and say, you know, that's dancing, and that's dance within our culture, and then I have to think, did it affect me growing up? I saw people dancing like that. Did I then no, because it didn't make me want to go and have sex. So you use your life experiences. You might have still seen that, and then it might have made you think a certain way. Growing up, you didn't see, I'm not saying this is what happened, you didn't see your parents be affectionate, or you never saw your dad slap your mum on the bum or whatever, you never saw him like grab her and kiss her and be like overly, so then you think that's normal. So everyone's experience is going to be different depending on how they grew up or what they saw or what they deem to be normal. But then I think like sometimes you know, we shelter our children too much. So then there's the other side of, you shelter your children too much, and then when you let them out in the wide world, they can go wild.
But I don't see not doing things in front of your kids as sheltering them. I see that as showing them boundaries, of social boundaries. So these things can happen at these times and not. So let me just explain. So the conversations are always going to happen. That's always going to happen. My kids are going to be spoken to. That is one thing for sure about every topic.
Yeah, but
that's
not
one
everyone
thing for
does
sure.
that. And
no, I'm just talking about
me.
me.
The problem is people
saying,
don't let their children. They don't expose their children to certain things. I'm not talking about twerking. I'm talking about everything. Like whether it's, you know, like I keep using the example, you slapping your wife's bum or whatever, or you being overly affectionate with or not, like you said, not talking to them about things, and then they're going. The difference with us growing up here is that we didn't really have social media. So it's a total different era. So what you're not exposing your children to, social media is exposing your child to.
That's why the conversation has to happen.
So exactly. So it's like, I might say I will never twerk in front of my child, but they're watching videos of girls twerking anyway. Yeah. So then it's like, do I prefer to show them that it doesn't always have to be a sexual thing. Twerking is not always a sexual thing. Twerking could just be me and my girls having fun. Yeah. It doesn't equal now that is sexual. Yeah. Whereas the internet, twerking equals sexual. Mm-hmm. Do you get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because then what might happen as well, the child might think, when I saw twerking in my house, it was never to do with sex. It was just my mum and her friends having fun. But now I've come into the world and it's to do with twerk, and sex. Twerking equals sex. Yeah,
you have to, no matter what you're doing, clearly you have to explain, just in case. All right. Well, that has been Coz We Can. We've discussed a range of topics. We agreed on some. We disagreed on some. I don't
think we agreed on anything today. Well, a little bit at the end, but you was just acting like a rat earlier on. So yeah. Apparently, anything that I want to bring up, if it's not valid to Zeze, it's not valid. Because it's not. I listen to what you're saying, but sometimes
let's finish off. Let's finish off. So this has been.
Do you like these?
No. This has been Coz We Can. We're out.
Boom shakalaka boom shak boom.
Go.